Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talking Galaxy. Our intro is not working right now for some reason. But if we get that up, we will get it up. We're just going to go straight into this one, I guess. Today I'm joined by Galaxy Memes. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, everyone?
That was quite a raw intro. I mean, I'm actually not quite sure why this isn't working, but it is what it is. We're going to get into things right now, and we're going to start off with the Julian Ade transfer rumor. If you missed it, Julian Ade is linked to River Plate right now. I don't know if you saw this. The 22-year-old Argentinian left back has been linked to numerous South American clubs within the past few weeks. And River Plate is the latest one, as we discussed in the last podcast. I think there's a lot of steam. I think there is a lot of steam to these rumors. The fact that they keep coming around would suggest that maybe there's something to this. So, um, just memes. What are your thoughts on Julian Ade potentially leaving?
I think if he does leave, this will be a major loss to the team for sure. I think, especially the way he's been performing, it seems like he's found his footing, and it just seems like a big loss for the Galaxy. To be honest, I think our left back situation is not that something to be worried about. To be honest, I think both of the left backs are pretty solid in my opinion, but I feel like Ade is the one that has the bigger ceiling, has a higher ceiling. And him leaving is just going to be a big loss, to be honest, when the Galaxy at least coming off a win too.
Yeah, in a match where he played really well. Ever since he's been the starter for the LA Galaxy, I think Julian Ade has been a bright spot at the left back position. Once again, not a knock on John Nelson, but I think without Ricky Puig, you need a lot more going forward. And I think you see it in Julian Ade that he provides a lot more. John Nelson's more of a defensive left back. So it gets you the stability that you needed last year to get across the finish line. But in a year like this, where you need goals, you need to be creating chances, I think Julian Ade is the man for that. Um, just real quickly, I think I will go on record to say that I've spoken to a few people within Julian Ade's camp, and once again, they haven't been directly approached on any of these yet. So it looks like none of these negotiations are truly you know, advanced. I think these are just preliminary talks and maybe just interest River Plate is expressed. But the fact that South America is calling for Julian Ade again, um, transfer fee wise, I saw a number $3 million getting thrown around. Do you feel like that's the right amount for Julian Ade, considering that we spent around five million on him?
No, I think we should at least be getting profit out of Julian Ade. I think if we get 3 million, it's a loss. I think he's going. I think honestly, he should be going like 4, 5, 6 million. I think is a good transfer fee we should get from him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I also heard the fact that we might be trading Julian Ade within MLS as a possibility. If he does end up going somewhere, it looks like MLS would be a good destination if teams see value in him. If they see value in a guy who's only hitting 200K against the salary cap. And honestly, if I'm an MLS general manager, I'm absolutely taking this. I'm absolutely bringing Julian Ade in because he's really cheap, and you know I think he provides a lot going forward, and I like his potential. And these MLS teams could get a future sale to Europe. If we do sell him within MLS, I would definitely want to see him go to the Eastern Conference, so we don't have to play him twice a year. Um, it just really it depends, because we didn't convert all of Dejan Jovelic's salary that we got, or all of his transfer fee to allocation money. We let some of that just go into AEG's pocket. So, um, how would you assess Julian Ade recently?
I think he's been absolutely amazing. I feel like you can tell a difference in the Galaxy's game when he's starting. I feel like when John Nelson, you kind of lack the attack going up, and obviously that's kind of what we need in our fullbacks, the attack going up. With Mickey Amane, you see it a lot from him. Sometimes this season it's been kind of poor from him, but last season, going up and connecting with Peck was just amazing. But on Otto's part, he's done really good, and you can tell a difference when he's on the field. It just brings a whole new dynamic to the field.
Yeah, no, certainly. I think it goes without saying that he has one of the highest potentials on our squad right now. I think Oleanade. I've always liked what he can do going forward. I think there's been certain years where he's been a defensive liability. Maybe Greg Vanny's strayed away from him in some of these moments because he's worried that, you know, John Nelson is more just steady on defense. He's more level headed, and Julian Ade can get you caught out a lot. But that being said, I think Julian Ade still has a big role going forward if the Galaxy do decide to keep him. Um, so we'll move on now. The Galaxy obviously played the 4th of July match against the Vancouver Whitecaps. Julian Ade did feature in this match. He started this match. We'll quickly go over the starting lineup here. John McCarthy was out for this game for an upper body injury. It was also his birthday, so I don't know if he wanted to just take his birthday off. Or what was going on there. But John McCarthy did not feature in this match. He wasn't going to anyway. Novak Mitrovic gets the start and goal. And then at left back is Julian Ade, Miro Garces, and Yoshida at center back. Yoshida returns to the lineup. Miki Amane at right back, Edwin Cerrillo in the midfield alongside Diego Fagundes and Marco Royce. And then a front three of Peck, Paintsil, and Nascimento. In this match, the first goal was scored by Matthias Nascimento just 2 minutes into this game, and then followed by a Paintsil brace. One of them was a penalty on the second goal. Let's start with the Nascimento goal. What do you see in this? You want to break that? You want to break that goal down real quick?
Honestly, I missed that goal. I was coming back from the Bay, so I missed that goal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Did you end up seeing the replay at any point or not?
No, I didn't see the replay. I think I only saw the second half, so I catch both of the Paintsil goals.
Yeah, so it was an Edwin Cerrillo long shot, and Takayoko didn't get a clean
Oh,
look.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. And then Nascimento followed on the rebound. I was in Angel City Brigade for the first 12 minutes of this match, and I got to see a goal from it. So we will take that. I do want to pivot quickly to a question that I got. I think this is a really good question. Do you buy into the idea that Julian Ade is starting to get his transfer value up? Is Greg Vanny perhaps starting him in this match? Or in the past 2 matches to bring his value up because maybe he was low being benched by John Nelson. Do you buy into that idea or not?
It could be. It does make sense. I wouldn't throw that idea out but in the trash. I mean, but I feel like it's more just because he's been performing well, and the Galaxy have just kind of shown a little bit more of a result when we do play out it. So I feel like it can go either both ways. I mean, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist on top of that, but it can go both ways. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the reason for his recent span of games where he's getting more minutes.
Yeah, it certainly could be. That wouldn't be a far-fetched idea, I feel like, is the fact that the Galaxy want to perhaps raise his transfer value. And a few good games can do that, especially if he gets like a goal or an assist in the next few. I think that could skyrocket his value just based off of form. And he's been in good form. Yeah, send Ade to TFC. That's a good shout. And then the second goal was an unselfish, I believe it was a ball by Gabriel Peck into the feet of Marco Royce. And then Marco Royce had the shooting opportunity, but he decided to unselfishly lay it off for Joseph Paintsil, who had a ton of space and time and just picks out one of the corners of the net. Hits it bottom right corner. Exactly what you wanted to see from Joseph Paintsil. His confidence has been lacking a lot recently. Joseph Paintsil, what a match this man had. Man of the match, very obviously. How'd you assess his performance?
I think he did pretty good. I was definitely surprised by his brace. When he had that shot, when Marco Royce laid him up right there, I honestly thought he was going to blow it over just because of the San Jose game and how many chances he had kind of similar to that. That just didn't go on frame. I thought that wasn't going to be a goal, but it was a nice finish. Bottom corner. He played really well, and when he got that first goal, you can tell his confidence went up like right away. You can tell this was a different Paintsil throughout the game. So it was nice to see him, and hopefully this will continue and lead him on to a good direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for Paintsil, it's such a mind game. And by the way, I will want to note now that Joseph Paintsil has been receiving racial abuse on social media, and he posted about that. The fact that there were some really nasty comments from people just hiding on burner accounts, calling Paintsil racial slurs, and just really, really terrible behavior. There's no room for racism in the game. And the fact that he's receiving this abuse, you could only feel for him and what he's going through mentally. I'm sure has been very up and down recently. This has been a good game for him to cap it off and build some confidence within himself. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on the fact. I don't know if you wanted to comment on anything regarding that memes, just the fact that Joseph Paintsil is receiving a lot of racial abuse on social media.
Yeah, I mean, just it's nasty to see that. Honestly, it's I can't believe we're still having to go through that, to be honest, and it's just unfair for Paintsil, and to those people are like they should be ashamed. That's at the end of the game, and at the end of the day, it's just a game. I can't believe that's just happening. It's pathetic.
Yeah, I think a lot of these people don't realize that footballers are human beings.
Yeah,
At times they could seem like celebrities or like bigger than life, but in reality, Joseph Paintsil is just a human being you know, with feelings like anyone else. And to see that and to receive that on social media, is just, my heart goes out to him. I feel terrible. It's good that he put him on blast though, because hopefully MLS actually properly deals with those people now. It seems like we didn't get a follow up on the last investigation when Joseph Paintsil put someone on blast for this, and the fact that this is starting to become a common theme within Joseph Paintsil is receiving racial abuse from whoever hiding on burners is just, it's terrible and you hate to see it. But going back to his performance in this match, it's a huge confidence booster. Like you said, based off of that San Jose game, when you see Paintsil line up for that shot, you're thinking, yeah, this is going to blast over. This is going to blast over, and it's going to continue his poor run of form. But no. And it's also another thing worth noting is the fact that this is his mom's first game. This is Joseph Paintsil's mom's first game watching him since 2014. Joseph Paintsil in 2014. Wow, how old he had to be, like about, like, I don't even know,
well,
probably
he's
his
he's
age.
like what 26, 20,
Yeah,
26.
yeah, I think he's like 26, 27. So um, yeah, that's crazy. The fact that his mom finally got to see a game is amazing. I know his family is still residing in Ghana right now. He comes to visit them every off season or whatever bits of an off season we ended up having this year. But went back there, saw his mom, and I'm glad they can make the game out. I know people have been saying that his mom should have season tickets, which I think is probably a completely fair argument. Um, and if she did, I would have a lot of confidence that we'd be able to, hit the playoffs this year and maybe make a run at back to back. So, um, okay. Marco Royce has been spectacular. Joseph Paintsil had a great game. It goes without saying. We've talked about those players being crucial for the Galaxy's success this year. But we kept a clean sheet. We kept a clean sheet against the Vancouver Whitecaps, and I feel like that goes understated. For as much as we can celebrate scoring 3 goals, and that's great. It's good that these guys have confidence. We've been scoring, at least recently, since Marco Royce hit the form that he's been in. We've been scoring. It's the defense. And the fact that the defense kept the second place in the Western Conference Vancouver Whitecaps to 0 goals, that's got to be a positive sign, right? Who stood out to you on the back line? Let's give some credit to that back line here.
Honestly, Ollie was a big standout to me, and I think Yoshida did pretty good as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Novak Mitrovic had a huge save on a free kick that I thought was just
That's right. Yeah.
It was a great free kick. And maybe if that goes in, it completely changes the trajectory of this game. The Galaxy can get down on themselves when they concede a goal, but Novak Mitrovic makes a spectacular save. Ever since he's come back to be the starter for the Galaxy in recent times, he's been great. He's been great. I have no issue with the guy taking the number one goalkeeper spot next year if he keeps up this run of form. I think, the coaching staff has kind of reiterated the fact that this is the version of Novak Mitrovic that they wanted to see the whole time. This is the guy that they spent money in, they brought him in permanently for 5 years. They put a lot of trust in him. They put a lot of money in him, and they expected him to be the guy, and he's finally turning out to be that for the Galaxy. like you said, Maya Yoshida coming back into the lineup. When I saw that, I was a bit skeptical considering that last game. I thought we defended San Jose fine. But we have an even bigger defensive performance against the Vancouver Whitecaps. So you love to see it, really. What else? What else do you take from this match? What else?
Honestly, just Royce, man. I think it's kind of funny too. Stepping aside from Royce real quick, how we all said the Galaxy were going to lose. All the Talking Galaxy members, even the ones that don't feature on the podcast,
Yeah.
we all said we were going to lose, and we ended up coming with the win. So I think we should just keep saying we're going to lose, and we'll get some more W's in the season. I think this is the first time we all collectively agreed to that we're going to lose this game.
I think so, because
I think
you
that's
almost never predict a
yeah.
loss.
I never predict a loss. I predict a tie or a win, but predicted a loss for the first time, and then look at that, we got to win.
I mean, chances we win every remaining game and slide into the playoffs. If the Talking Galaxy curse continues, then I would say there's a pretty good chance, but realistically that's not happening, not to be a vibe killer, but I think the points per game that we'd have to, average statistically is impossible. Very improbable for the Galaxy to come out in a play-in position even. But you start winning games and that points per game goes down. It makes it start to be more achievable. But in the grand scheme of things, I think this match is more of a moral victory for the Galaxy here. I love the play of Nascimento. Seeing him get another goal in this match is nice. Two people that we highlighted in the last podcast as, this is their make it or break it year. One of them is just on loan, so it has to be Nascimento, and the other being Novak Mitrovic, I thought had spectacular games. And really, this is the performances that you need to keep seeing from these guys. So you love to see it. I think Nascimento is the number 9 of the future. I would have no issue if the Galaxy bought him permanently, and I think that is looking more likely every game. But I think you guys might know where this is going now. Another aspect of this match is the fan protest. So before the match, it came out that Victoria Block and LA Riot Squad would be doing fan protests individually. Victoria Block would be hosting a walkout, and LA Riot Squad would be doing a silent protest. Okay, so both of these groups were going to protest, and we didn't know when until, before the match. They were coming around in ACB, and they're saying, okay, 12th minute, we're going to walk out. And when the match kicked off, the chants were, F Ice and, all that great stuff. So come the 12th minute, the fans, let's play the clip. Play the clip. Okay, I'm going to remove the audio from that. But as you can see, this is the 12th minute, and the Galaxy fans are walking out. I think a good chunk of them ended up leaving the stadium completely. As for myself, I relocated because my friend who you could see, didn't mean to remove you there, memes. My friend that you could see in front of me right there in the white came all the way from Palm Springs. So I was like, okay, I arrived here not knowing that, he's in the chat right now. He came from Palm Springs, and he was not aware that there was going to be a protest in this game. So we ended up just, threw on the Liverpool jersey and moved over to Riot Squad with the silent protest over there. But this was very 2023 reminiscent from the Galaxy fans. And to go over it here, obviously the context being the ice raids, but more importantly, this video actually did pretty well. I posted it on my main Instagram, and I got a lot of comments. It even reached, an audience that felt very strongly against this, that doesn't even care about soccer. It just, when a reel starts going, semi-viral, it starts to hit all sorts of crowds, and it did on this. So I would like to clear up some misconceptions on this. Is the fact that the biggest one that I saw in the comment section of that video is the fact that people said, oh, well, the money's already spent. You guys already spent money on the tickets, so it doesn't matter anyway. Galaxy got their money. Counterpoint. Season tickets. Most of these people in Angel City Brigade are season ticket holders. At least the ones walking out. I know for a fact that a lot of these people I've seen around as season ticket holders, they paid their money in December. They paid their money in December when none of this was happening. So the point that um, these people already spent their money, yeah, in December. It's not like they're buying game tickets to leave. Anybody who does that, I mean, more respect to you, honestly. But most of these people are just season ticket holders who already paid. But I'll pass it over to you, memes. What are your thoughts on this whole situation here? Obviously, contributing to the Galaxy not speaking out on the ice raids in LA.
I mean, I'm all in for the protest. I think it's a good way to be heard. It's a good way to express your rage on the team for not having a statement. I think, and I'm glad that it didn't go south. I'm glad that there wasn't anything that bad that happened afterwards, or any fights that broke out from other people's opinions that obviously oppose this idea. I also really like the tifos from both Angel City Brigade and LA Rice Squad. I thought both of them, made a great statement regarding this whole issue. Um, but it did kind of feel weird. Like someone mentioned in the chat, it kind of did feel weird. Had not had just seeing like that empty spot, after the 12th minute. I do agree with that. Watching the game, it kind of did feel weird having that empty spot, and it did remind me of like 2023, like you said, Peyton. But other than that, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's a good way to express what's on the mind.
Yeah, and although the stadium was packed for this game, being a Fourth of July game, a lot of people got to bring their families to this one. As opposed to the El Traficos the past 2 years, a lot of people got to take their families to a friendly environment in this match, as far as opposing team fans are concerned. And you're right. I think a lot of the people speaking out their different opinions happen to just be like, okay, we're gonna focus here. A lot of the people happen to be just social media people. People who want to speak their mind on social media and say really. I've seen a lot of insane things said, honestly, on the comments of that post from people who aren't even from Los Angeles. You'll have people from Ohio speaking on the LA like ice situation. It's like, I'm not really sure why you feel like you have a relevant opinion on this matter, but you go for it. You talked about the tifos from Lars. I want to put this one up here. I thought this was a really good one. This photo was captured by Grainy Mayo, aka Bruce. AEG loves immigrant dollars, but not immigrants, which I think is the whole, the whole idea revolves around this. When it comes to that, another misconception that I've seen is the fact that people are like, oh, well, it's not, it's a sports team. It's not politics. The thing is, or another thing that I've seen is people like, well, what is this going to do? Like, this isn't going to stop the ice riot, or this isn't going to stop the ice raids. Yeah. You think these people, like, we know that. Like, everyone knows that. You're stating the obvious there. You're stating the obvious there. If we're being honest, this is not about the fact that the Galaxy speaking out is going to stop the ice raids in Los Angeles. This is not what it's about. What this is about is the fact that the AEG and the Galaxy can host heritage nights, and they could take money from immigrant dollars. They could take immigrant dollars, but when it comes to actually standing behind the community's back when they need it most, they're advertising SpongeBob night. Like, it feels really counterproductive, and it feels really fake. It feels really fake on the Galaxy's part to be like, we love, come to Salvadorian Heritage Night, come to Central American Heritage Night, come to all of our heritage nights, and we'll take your money. We'll take your ticket money, your concession money, your merchandise money. But when there's something going on with those communities within our own city that we represent, we're gonna stay quiet. And that's the point of all of this, in my opinion. That's the point in all of this, is the fact that AEG can't claim to, it's and whether people like it or not, sports will always be politics. Our own owner has money on one side of the political spectrum, and I'll let you fill in the blank on how that goes. But yeah, names. Anything else on that?
I mean, no, I mean all those statements are true, and it's I feel like they only say stuff or do stuff when it benefits them for their own well-being, for their own profit. But there's true, really though, there's no backing from our own people. I mean, AEG doesn't backs the people that they claim to support. They only really claim them or support them when it benefits them, when it's like all that money that they want. That's the only time they'll come out and do these events and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's sad times because you know what sucks a lot about this is the fact that I felt like the front office made a good attempt to rebuild the relationship with the fans after 2023. After extending Chris Klein and backstabbing all the fans, after a decade of mediocrity, um, they extend Chris Klein, and it fractured the relationship with the fans, the supporters groups, and the Galaxy. Started off that season terrible. The fan protests happened, but then they mended that relationship. They fired Chris Klein. Will Kuntz came into the office, and a lot of things changed. It seemed like the Galaxy were serious again. This hurts that. This hurts that a lot because these supporter groups are going to see this and they're going to be like, okay, we have the fan council too. I hope the fan council is speaking on this as well. But the fact that the Galaxy are starting to ruin the relationship that they rebuilt with the fans, and that's also just not a good sign when the season has been going as it is. Right now, I will take questions for the chat before we go into some other news. But yeah, ice raids in Los Angeles. Our heart goes out to the communities. Our supporters groups. Our supporters groups. Thank you guys for taking a stand. Everybody who's involved in the walkout. Thank you guys for taking a stand. Everyone involved. Everyone who ended up sitting out this game. I know some people personally who told me that they are unable to come to Galaxy games now out of fear. Because another thing is that earlier in the week there was, an ice truck. There was an ice truck at Dignity Health Sports Park in Lot 3, and I think a lot of people are just scared right now, and we're with you. Our hearts go out to you, and our supporters groups are standing with you guys in this moment. And I think this shows another moment of solidarity. Just anything you guys can do to support, even buying the merchandise that Angel City Brigade released. How much longer will walkouts happen? I don't know. Do you have an idea, memes?
Honestly, I am not too sure. I'm not really affiliated with any support groups, nor have I ever been that involved. I guess that's the right word. Most of the time I find out my stuff from you guys, so you guys would be my main source of stuff coming from the fans, the supporter groups and all that. So I'm not too sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it next game against DC United. But yeah, I can't tell you for sure what's the next move.
I'll have to look into that. I'll have to look into that because me personally, I don't know. What I did know is that there was a vote on what to do for this game. The vote was between not going to the match, walking out, and I believe there was a third option, but they ended up going obviously with the walkout, but not going to the match would have been another interesting option there. But this one was just something in advance where it's like, it makes a statement, and a lot of people are like, well, what's the point? You could have just not went to the match. I think it makes a good statement to show that the supporters are cheering, and I thought it was an underrated thing that on the way out they were like, we are cheering for the LA Galaxy. They're going with that chant because it shows that we support the players. The players aren't involved in this. We still cheer for our team. We still want to see our team success. I've seen a lot of people say that, these are fake fans or these aren't the real fans. No, these are the most passionate. These are the most, diehard fans who stand for 90 minutes and cheer for the LA Galaxy game in and game out. The fans make up the club, and without the club, without the fans, the club would not exist. And that's as simple as it is. And so, yeah, if you're a part of this and if you were a part of this, we thank you. But I don't know the status on next game. I don't know if it'll continue, But the fact that this is the second game now, we got the San Jose game. They always do their away trip, and they canceled it this year, and this game against DC United. So, um, I think it should be interesting to see how it develops, and we will let you guys know as it goes. Let's see. What's the status on next game? I assume that you're talking about the walkouts as well. Another walkout. I'm not sure. I'll let you guys know when we know. But I would not be surprised if there was some form of protest. They might not leave the stadium the same way, but there will probably be some form of protest. And yeah, Stefan in the chat talking about being tuned out of the galaxy but still watching. We'll put the comment up here. I think you're right. I think until that relationship is mended with the fans in the front office, once again, it's completely within your jurisdiction to not go to the games and not fund the team. But a question of how was the attendance? It was good. I mean, outside of this, you could usually tell by how the 200 section is filling up. And if the 200 section is filling up, before the match, like 15 minutes before, it's going to be a pretty good attendance, and a lot of people stayed for the fireworks show. So it was packed. It was packed. Is soccer a political sport around the world? And can this influence MLS teams? I'll let you take this one, Memes.
I definitely do think it's a political sport. A lot of people try to separate politics and sports. They try to draw the barrier between them, but there's going to be politics on almost everything. And especially in the MLS, I feel like it's more common. I guess if you see them out in Europe, I feel like MLS teams are also influenced a lot by politics because of how like diverse it is here in the United States. And I think like a lot of the supporter groups, especially in like California, have things to say about them. So that you gotta get involved because your fans are behind them. So the front office obviously has to get involved. This is kind of like a hard question to answer too, kind of way, but it's difficult.
Yeah. I also think that politics in soccer is a very intertwined thing, whether you're in the United States or around the world. In fact, I'll go one further. I think there's a lot more politics within sports around the world than you see in the United States. Germany is interesting because in this case, because in Germany, obviously the fans have to have partial ownership of the club. If this were the case, there would absolutely been a statement on this.
Oh,
They tend to
100%.
speak out. I don't have a specific moment in my head right
Oh,
now. I don't have a specific moment in my head, but I do guarantee you that they do stand out and speak out and support their communities when something happens abroad. So it is absolutely a political sport, if not even more than it is in the United States. And I'm sure we take a lot of influence from this because we tend to take a lot of things from Europe. It's another interesting one. And in the chat, canceling the season tickets and ended his 33 consecutive home game streak over this. Sent them a paragraph. Round of applause to you. You guys decide where your money goes, and if you decide that this is not worthy for you guys, you have every right to take your stand, and letting your season ticket reps know.
dude, you know what is crazy though?
Mm.
This is kind of like, I mean, it's like around season tickets, but like so when I first got my season tickets, it was like 2020 season, right? So like I only got to go to like one game, and I'm pretty sure it was against like Vancouver. And luckily next year we were able to go back, but it was like limited capacity, right? It was the 2021 season, Chicha's season where he popped off. And then I think I had season tickets for 3 years. So I had it in 2021, 2020, 2021, 22, and then 23. That was the last. I canceled it in 23 because obviously I didn't go to a lot of games, just because of club reasons. Like a lot of my games were like around the same time, so I just couldn't go. So it was just like kind of a waste. But man, dude, like I wish I would have kept my season tickets for the 2024 season, dude, just because like it was the season where so much happened and then so much changed, and we ended up winning the cup. But yeah, I didn't.
Yeah. I heard a lot of stories of people canceling in 2023. So to know that you're,
Yeah, man.
it's like that meme of the guy mining and he's trying to go for
Yeah.
gold and he stops right before he hits gold. You just missed it one seat. Were you at
It,
MLS Cup?
no, I wasn't. I went to all playoff games except for that one. I was gonna go like maybe 30 minutes before the game actually started. Like we were still looking at tickets and there were some cheap ones. And then at that point, I was just like, nah, I'm just gonna watch it here on my house.
Yeah, yeah.
Got
That's
Wingstop and just watched it there.
oh, absolutely. um, we'll go into
Uh,
the Gabriel Peck stuff later. What's up?
oh no, it was the same thing about Peck.
Yeah. Um, we'll go into that now. We'll go into that now. Gabriel Peck to Palmeiras, unlikely. I mean, it's a rumor. It's out there, and the latest on this is that Palmeiras is lining up to make a bid on Gabriel Peck. Um, While I don't, okay. Once again, I talked to people from Peck's camp, and they are not aware of any approach regarding Gabriel Peck. Obviously, this is preliminary, but I don't. Here's my thing: he's coming from Brazil. He's already coming from, and I understand Palmeiras is a massive club in South America in general. That being said, Peck's ambition is to go to Europe. It's not to go back to Brazil. He's learning English and Spanish right now. And I could tell you that's not to go back to it's not to go back to Brazil. It's to make a move to Europe. He wants to compete at a top level. He wants to compete in a top 5 league. And another thing right now is the fact that his value is not too high. The Galaxy had a chance to sell him last window. They're not going to sell him for cheap. And a lot of people are saying that, oh, Palmeiras are just going to recover the transfer value. Why would the Galaxy break even on this guy? Why would the Galaxy break even on Gabriel Peck? It's not. I don't think this is going to happen. But I'd like to hear your take on this. Yeah, Palmeiras interested in acquiring Gabriel Peck.
Yeah, horrible rumor. It's not gonna happen. There's a lot of several factors too from the Palmeiras side why this might not happen. So I've been kind of keeping up with Palmeiras a little bit surrounding their whole team, just because I have a player from my national team that is on there.
Right.
Richard Rios, he's rumored to leave the team to Europe as well, and if he does go, I'm sure that they're gonna probably splash money on a center defensive mid. Um, if that does happen, the pick is just highly unlikely to happen. Also we want to send him to Europe. I think it's from both parties, the Galaxy and Peck, that they want to send him to Europe, and we wouldn't settle for having them for like 10 million. We see the potential in Peck. We saw how he can perform based on last season, so we obviously know that we can get a lot from him, especially if European teams are already knocking at that door first season with Peck. So this rumor is highly unlikely, and it's just I don't know where it came from, to be honest. It's just so random to me.
Yeah, and also the outlets that are reporting on this aren't the most credible. It's not your Fabrizio Romanos, it's not your Corner of the Galaxies. It's just random Brazilian reporters, and with all due respect, I don't really buy this one. But there's a good question in the chat now. Do you guys think Pexi's leaving the Galaxy is a better move than staying at the Galaxy? Um, I'll answer first before you go into this a bit more and expand on it. But talking to people within Peck's camp, they're not too happy with the Galaxy right now. Actually, at the performance of the club this year. So maybe they see it as, hey, let's get off of a let's jump out of the burning building right now. But I don't see this being the case because of news that we'll go over later on somebody that we just got back, and also the fact that 2026 will be a much better year for the LA Galaxy, and I think that will raise his transfer value. So there's no incentive for him to go back to Brazil, in my opinion. If he goes, it's to Europe. But your opinion?
Yeah, they probably see it as a sinking ship, to be honest. But I feel like they also see leaving to Brazil as a step back. I feel
Yeah,
like the whole the whole thing was for Peck to leave Brazil. That was a step taking forward, and the only step to take forward is to go to Europe. Anywhere else would be like taking a step, backwards. So
Yeah,
I feel like they're going to be patient. They're going to give Galaxy another season, and that's going to be the 2026 season. And I think from there, you're going to be able to gauge what's going to happen with Peck, what's going to happen with the Galaxy, what's the relationship at that point. But I feel like they are impatient. They are unhappy with this season. I feel like everybody is,
yeah.
and it makes sense. But we'll see next season what's really going to happen.
Yeah, I think there's barely any Galaxy players who are just complacent with what's going on right now within the club. The fact that we have only one loss in the last 5 games would suggest that things are slowly starting to turn around. We're undefeated in back-to-back home games. But yeah, this certainly could be the case that, maybe if we struggle in 2026, it just ends up being they just write it off. But, it could be a summer 2026 thing after the World Cup, honestly. I could see that being the case if he starts out the season hot. But I don't know. Maybe it's like the Columbus Crew had to do by selling Lucas Zelerion midway through the season. They went on to win MLS Cup. So, finding a Peck replacement wouldn't be easy, but I don't think it's going to be a issue we're going to have to, address this year. But Gabriel Peck is rumored to Palmeiras right now. Just wanted to say that one's floating around, but I don't think there's any traction to it. And furthermore, my connections within the camp would say that there's not much to that rumor either. Move on to the next rumor. We're going back to back rumors real quick. The LA Galaxy have reportedly approached 37-year-old midfielder Tomas Rincon. And he's been approached by multiple MLS clubs, including the LA Galaxy, but has no intention of leaving Santos, and his contract runs through the end of August 2026. I mean, he's made 20 appearances for Santos. It looks like he still has something left in the tank. But once again, this isn't quite the age range that you want to see. 37 years old. I'm not, with our salary cap situation, I don't see this being us. If we happen to be the team in MLS that, crosses the line on this signing and, puts pen to paper, I would be so surprised. We might be interested, but I don't think there's a chance, because then we would also have to pay a transfer fee. And there's too many factors. This might be another MLS team, but I don't think this is the LA Galaxy. It's summertime. A lot of these agents in Europe are starting to make up rumors. So this could certainly just be one of those. But yeah, he has no intention of leaving anyway. So it's like, I don't see this being us. But if it were to be us, it could be a solid piece. But I just feel like we have enough midfield depth. I just feel like as it is, Lucas Sanabria is sitting on the bench, and behind him you have Isaiah Parente, who's more than capable. So why would we sign a 37-year-old midfielder with no upside in the season that's dead? The season's dead. The season's dead. Why would we sign this guy, in my opinion? But do you have any other thoughts or comments on this?
I just think it's another fake rumor. I think, like you said, agents just make up rumors in the summer to gain like traction from other European teams. You saw it last year as well. You see it all the time in the transfer market.
Yeah.
Um, honestly, it doesn't make any sense. We have no money to spend. I'm pretty sure Vanny had said something about the transfer market earlier this week or late last week as well. That kind of leans us towards we're not going to get any transfers done this summer. So I think any rumors at this point are kind of dead based on what he's saying.
Yeah. And to quickly recap that Greg Vanny quote that you're talking about, Greg Vanny said, on that, he was talking about kind of the idea, I'll just say the direct quote. He said, "We want to continue every window to try to take a step forward. So it'd be great, but I think there's a lot of variables inside of that would need to transpire for us to be as active as maybe we would normally like to be." This would suggest that, the LA Galaxy are not going to make any signings unless we start moving pieces. And if we start moving pieces, it has to be the right move for the Galaxy. If not, they're not, there's no point. They're not going to panic move to save a season that really is improbable of saving. It's not going to happen. In 2023, we did have some cap room to move around. This year we don't. So you're not going to see, I don't think you're going to see your Billy Sharps come into the Galaxy. I don't think it's going to happen. But what do you make of that quote by Greg Vanny? How do you interpret it?
Well, like I said, yeah, I think, we if we want to make moves, you kind of have to sacrifice a couple players. And I'm not just talking about players that like make barely any money on the salary cap, like Gino Vivi would or stuff like that. You haven't even got him registered, is that right?
No, he's not registered. There's he can't be. We don't have an international spot, so I think
Yeah, so
full.
it's stuff like that. I'm pretty sure that like stuff like that is what he's talking about. We don't have no spots. We don't have no international spots. It's just it just seems all unlikely to be honest.
Yeah, certainly. I don't see that one happening. Um, do you think Peck will be called up to Brazil? No, Britain. I don't think so. Not for the foreseeable future until he goes to Europe. Do you think we'll go all in for League's Cup? Yes, my opinion's kind of shifting on this because of last year, but I think the Galaxy are ready to go all in on League's Cup, considering that the league phase of Major League Soccer is kind of becoming more distant for the Galaxy. So, do you think the Galaxy will go in for League's Cup?
I think so. Just to have like some type of silverware, some type of you know, good moment, good light in the season. Maybe at least making the semifinals or even the finals of the League's Cup will have, the fans remember this season as okay, at least we made it to something. At least we did something good.
Yeah, there is something salvageable within the season for the LA Galaxy. Two of our matchups are favorable. The other is Cruz Azul, which is not so favorable for the LA Galaxy. But two of these, I think the Galaxy could very much um, win if we're in the right string of form, and the Galaxy do indeed go all in on League's Cup. Technically, you could end this season with a double, which is hilarious. It's not the most prestigious double. It's not like winning an MLS Cup and Supporter Shield in the same year, but we could win a Campeones Cup and a League's Cup still. So we will take that for the time being, as the potential possibilities. If you still want to hold on to some hope for this year, I think that League's Cup is certainly an outlet for that. And then Joe Cool in the chat talking about moving a goalkeeper. I think one of the goalkeepers will be moved. Probably John McCarthy, if I had to guess right now. Um, I don't think it'll be Novak Mitrovic anymore, and we just brought in JT. So that's kind of the opinion that I sit on. Next thing here, let's see. Diogo Jota and Andre Silva. They both passed away in a tragic car accident. As you see, I'm wearing my Liverpool kit right now. Um, just terrible news for the football world as a whole. I couldn't believe it, honestly, when I first heard the news. It was just unbelievable. The guy was 28 years old. He had three kids. None of them were over the age of like three. His wedding was like 2 weeks before, and he was about to go on his honeymoon. And just when you think that everything is going great for you in life, it just you kind of remember how fragile things can be. So Diogo Jota, Liverpool player, and Andre Silva, also a professional footballer. Just absolute terrible news for the football world, and it's definitely something that's shaken me as well as the whole footballing community. But I think the response has generally been very well. I think the communities come together. Um, to support their families, and even seeing the funeral. Um, it's just it's a terrible and tragic loss. Um, I think both of these guys were absolute. Everyone loved them. Everyone loved these guys. So just a terrible and tragic passing in the footballing community right now. And I saw a question earlier. Did the Galaxy say anything about this before the game? I don't believe so. I know there's been tributes around the league. I think Nashville SC did one. Um, Diogo Gonçalves for Real Salt Lake did one. You've seen Mbappe do one. A lot of these players are doing tributes for Diogo Jota, doing his FIFA celebration. Um, so just a really tragic passing. But your thoughts, your comments on this, memes?
Yeah, super heartbreaking, man. May they both rest in peace, and condolences to his family. I remember, being up late that day as well. It was like around like 12 or 1 a.m. And I mean
Yeah.
it was summer, so I'm obviously up that late. And I
Yeah.
remember going on Instagram and I see 433 and I see the black and white filter and I'm like, dude, no freaking way. And I
Yeah.
think the first person I message is you because you're a Liverpool fan. You like posted right away to your story. And I'm like, dude, this is like crazy. Like I was in complete shock. Like it's something when it's a player that just a player that you never heard of. It's still sad, but when it's a player that as big as Jota, and that you do have memory of like watching him play and like every week and all that, it hits a little more different. And I was just like, damn, dude, like that was crazy. Like, I was in complete shock. I was just like, damn. I thought like at first I thought it was like it wasn't official yet. Like maybe it was like a mistake, and then I started googling more and more, and I was like, damn, this is so sad. And I was like, wow, like I couldn't believe it at all. I was in complete shock, honestly.
Yeah, no, me too. I was in complete shock when I saw it. I honestly thought it was one of those sick trolls because I've seen that on like Twitter before.
Yeah,
Um, people who do those like really sick trolls of like, players, or like they accidentally do a black and white filter and it makes it look like somebody passed away. Like the last thing I thought there was that Diogo Jota passed away. Um, so it's just it's a death that, me personally as a Liverpool fan, I've definitely felt very heavy. I remember all of his moments, like the game winner against Tottenham. Um, he just absolute icon. Everybody in the footballing community seemed to love him. And yeah, Raul Jimenez did do a tribute to him in the CONCACAF Gold Cup final. So, our hearts go out to the family, and prayers to everybody involved in that. On a different note, we got a question for you. What happens to Royce once Ricky comes back? And we got a new nickname for you, Very Tan Griffin.
yeah. So what I believe is gonna happen to Royce is I think he's gonna stay put, honestly. Why, dude? I'm laughing during the segment because I read this comment, not because of the dead. I was like really bad timing of looking at chat. Uh, no disrespect though. But yeah, I think Royce stays put. Honestly, if he continues his form, then I think he's gonna stay put. Just because Ricky Puig is coming off an ACL injury, you got to be careful with getting those players back onto a game as quick. So if he continues with this form, I'm guaranteed. I can almost guarantee he's going to be starting over Boyd until the season ends. We might see Boyd start like the last couple games, like 1, 2 games. But the substitutions now will be now Boyd for Royce as well instead of for Gundogan maybe coming in. So those are the only things that I can note from right now. And then now we can officially start Boyd watch.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Puig Watch, he's back. He's back, everyone. Ricky Puig is back to the practice field, which is absolutely news we will take. 220 days after tearing his ACL in the Western Conference final against the Seattle Sounders, Ricky Puig makes his return to the practice field. In that time, he's become a club legend. We've won it for Ricky. And it feels like the focus on this year has been getting Ricky Puig back. And he's here. He's here, everybody. Look at him smiling like he never left, and like we're not last place in the league. Today is a day to be smiling about if you're an LA Galaxy fan, because our star boy, our star player, the best player in Major League Soccer is back. Huge news for the Galaxy and their chances at at least finishing this season somewhat positively, maybe a Leagues Cup or Campeones Cup. Um, Absolute, he will win comeback player of the year next year if he decides to do that. I do want to preface this by saying that I do not think this means that Ricky Puig is returning anytime soon. So if you're expecting him to return within the month of July, it's not going to happen. I think realistically, you could see at the earliest mid-August coming off of the bench for like Marco Royce. At the latest, probably. I mean, at the latest, he might not be back this year. Still, I don't think this guarantees he'll be back. But I think realistically, within the frame of this year, the latest I would see him coming back is mid-September. There's no way he's coming back in July if it's July 8th. Let's be serious here. Ricky Puig is not coming back this month, but that's fine as long as the Galaxy can hold down the fort with him. We got a Leagues Cup break coming up soon, so if we can continue to pick up wins within Major League Soccer play, maybe the playoffs are in the picture. Let's have a little positivity to the season now that Ricky is back on the practice field. The Galaxy released, a video. Maybe he was trolling with the Kyrie Irving repost. I think everyone thought that Ricky was probably out for the year after that. But what do you think? Starboy's back.
Oh man, it's great to have him back, and it's now everybody can start asking when is Ricky Puig going to be back. I feel like we've been getting those comments, since the beginning of the year. Now it's a little bit more, you can start asking those questions. I think he's going to be back like mid-August, early September. I think usually when a player's out for a not UCL, ACL injury,
Yeah.
I think it's like 8 weeks of just on-field work. I don't even know if he's like fully. Is he going to be full contact on training? No, yeah. So it's going to be another 8.
It'd be crazy to put him back in full contact.
I say 8 weeks before he makes the bench. I don't think they're going to rush him at all, to be honest, either.
Yeah.
You just got to be patient with this one.
And that would put him in an early September framework for the Galaxy to work within. I think is very realistic. He's going to have to, look at it. He's going to have to relearn the whole game again. There's a lot of things, him coming back now is great, but like, dude, like he's not ready to go right now. Like you put him on the field and he will be absolutely struggling. You got to build him up. You got to build his confidence in training. You got to get him touches. He has to relearn the game. It's not as easy as him just coming back to training and it's boom, Ricky Puig is back. He's ready to go for the DC United game. Like, no, he has a lot to learn again. He has a lot to learn. He has a lot to, readjust. And there's really a lot of self-trust that he has to build within himself again, because he might be, second guessing, taking some first touches now, or being as agile as he is, taking turns, or when somebody makes contact with him. We talk about him not being in full contact training. I'm sure he's not, because if anybody came near Ricky Puig right now, oh my gosh, I think the coaching staff had a heart attack. He's a tough guy for his height, but I think Ricky Puig will. I think he will be back within probably early September. That sounds about right. Let's put a game prediction on it right now. Let's take a shot into early September. I think is realistically when he's coming back. I will tell you that. Oh boy. So there's a break at the beginning of September for 2 weeks before we go to turf to Seattle. That's not going to be his return game. Maybe if he cuts it early, the FC Dallas game at home is his return. But I'm going to say Ricky Puig will return in the LA Galaxy versus FC Cincinnati match, September 20th at 7:30 p.m. Be there, be square. And if he doesn't, I'm not liable for any tickets that you purchase for that match. I'm sorry. But call your shot. I don't think he's returning against Miami, but that would be a fun game. It's gonna be a home game. They want Ricky to return at home, like come off of the bench. They want it to be a home game, I feel. But what do you think?
Yeah, I do. I definitely think they want it to be a home game just because it'll drive fans to go to the game as well.
Yeah.
Against Miami, I'm not too sure. Just looking at the calendar, so I might even say it might be against Sporting Kansas too. We're home that game, so maybe against Sporting.
Sporting.
September 27th.
Yeah.
A week later.
Yeah, I could see that being the case too. You know, Ricky Puig and Dejan Joveljic reunion, the guy he got the assist to while playing on a torn ACL. I could see that being the game, but I think it will for sure be a home game. So yeah, and let's be very clear, he's going to come off the bench the first time. You know, he will come off the bench. He'll clock in some minutes, but he comes back the home game before Miami against Seattle. I doubt he's coming back within a
Yeah,
month from now. I just that's not happening in my opinion. I don't see it. Even in a bench capacity, I'd be very surprised. But that would be after Leagues Cup. And if we do advance, that game will be rescheduled. So if we do advance in Leagues Cup, that game would be rescheduled against the Seattle Sounders. Ricky potential assist today on again. I hope not. If you guys saw that Messi assist against Montreal, he passed it right to I think it was Owusu from from Montreal. He had like 3 goal contributions, or else he would have been blasted. But um, that's a scary front three. Let's just talk about what this team looks like with Ricky Puig. In my opinion, I think Novak. Okay, let me throw out a lineup real quick. You got Novak Mitrovic in net, Julian Ade left back. You got Amiro Garces and Yoshida center backs, Miki Amane right back, Cerrillo, Royce, Puig in the midfield. You have Nascimento, Peck, and Paintsil up front three. I feel like that is a very scary team. Um, would you change anything with that in that lineup? Do you think that's our strongest lineup?
I think that is their strongest lineup. I agree 100%.
Furthermore, oh yeah, it will be fun to see, Ricky make get some chemistry with Nascimento. I think that could definitely be a scary combination. I think Marco Royce has been dotting up Nascimento a lot recently and propelling his good form. I think Ricky Puig will thrive with Nascimento up top, as well as this makes the triple P's better. This makes Peck and Paintsil better just by Ricky being back. It makes them 10 times better because, now all the pressure's on Ricky. Now all the opposing team's game plan is centered around Ricky Puig, not Peck and Paintsil, although they are lethal. It's going to be about Ricky Puig and how he controls the game. And then you also have Marco Royce, who's very creative, and he's been great this year. So somebody wanted you to answer a question earlier that I answered, is the fact that do you think the Galaxy have a chance at making the playoffs here with Ricky?
No,
This doesn't change it.
this doesn't change anything. I think our season's over. It's well over, to be honest. We have 2 wins. Like, come on. Like, let's
Well,
just let's just be realistic.
what would you put the chances at?
25% chance of making playoffs.
25?
I think it's that low.
I feel like
100%.
that's a lot.
I think it's low. It's low.
I feel like
25% still low.
25% a lot.
It's
Really?
still low.
Okay. Yeah, I would put that close to 0, honestly. We would have to be at like 2.3 points per game, and I don't think that's ever happened in Major League Soccer history before. But it like Stefan says in the chat, the last couple of games will be absolutely fun to watch with them back. So certainly something to look forward to if you're a Galaxy fan in a season like this that's been brutally painful to watch. You get your star boy back, at least on the practice field, and you will be seeing practice content all the time, I'm sure. Every time he steps foot in the training field, people will be watching Ricky Puig. Now, we will be talking about the next home match that the Galaxy have in a 3-game homestand before we play LAFC on the road. Look at this great graphic that I made, dude. Like, can we get some respect on this? We just got the logos over a patch of soccer grass here. Like, this is a class graphic that I made. No, I just nabbed it off of the internet. But Galaxy hosting DC United. This match will be another home game at Dignity Health Sports Park. Saturday at 7:30 p.m. is kickoff at 7:40. I would expect John McCarthy to remain out for this game. I don't know. I saw him in training. I don't think that really matters. He's not the starter anyway. You saw JT on the bench. But when it comes to starting lineup for this game, I would expect Novak Mitrovic to get the nod in net again. Julian Ade left back, Emiro Garces and Yoshida center backs, Yamane right back. Midfield, Edwin Cerrillo, Marco Royce, and Diego Fagundes. Front three, Nascimento, Peck, and Paintsil. Would you change anything there?
Maybe sub out Fagundes. Maybe though.
Okay. Yeah. Sanabria definitely has a case, and if you're looking to rest Fagundes or give anybody a break, I think Sanabria definitely has a shout at being a rotational piece. Now, the key thing is the fact that the Galaxy play another match on Wednesday. Could this be the match of rotation, or do the Galaxy play their starters again? Because you would assume that one of these matches we will have to rotate. Do you think it'll be this game? Do you think there's a chance at rotation, considering that this is against an Eastern Conference opponent versus Wednesday next week against Austin FC, a Western Conference opponent, a 6-pointer?
I don't think we get the rotation this game.
You think it'll be Austin, or no rotation at all?
I think no rotation at all. Maybe just like one piece in the midfield, but everything else might stay the same. You might see Zonka for Yoshida or Garces, but those are like the only two pieces of rotation we might see.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. I mean, it could definitely be something like that. I don't know if you'll see a full rotation from the LA Galaxy where you're getting like JT Marcinkowski in goal. But I think there will be some rotation in here. Maybe John Nelson gets to start one of these games. Maybe a Cuevas gets a start. Sanabria gets a start. Even Christian Ramirez you could see feature in one of these games, although he's been in Vanny's doghouse. Keys to winning this match, I think Christian Benteke will be out for this game. I don't have an official injury report. We will have one on Friday, I believe. Christian Benteke has been out previous games for DC United. He is obviously by far and away their best player. DC United are
12.
Awful. Yeah, they're awful. They are 25th place in the Supporters Shield standings. Only 4 wins on the year. They have 2 wins away, and their goal difference is somehow worse than the LA Galaxy at -22 versus ours at -20. Okay. Benteke played last game. Okay. Yeah. I last thing I heard he was out, but if he is playing, then maybe that will be a huge danger for the LA Galaxy with his aerial ability. Okay, he's back from injury now. Great, of course, everyone's back from injury before they play the LA Galaxy. So back-to-back home games, back-to-back home wins. Keys to winning this match for you?
Peck and Paintsil. Oh, and Royce as well. And it's also important to note that DC United have a game tomorrow as well, so they have a midweek game. It is Open Cup though, so
they'll rotate.
Yeah. But
more travel.
We might. It's still the travel and all that. They still have a midweek game, so that's important to know as well.
Yeah. Keys to winning this match, I think, is containing Christian Benteke. Then, if he's playing, I think you have to have another incredible defensive performance like we had against the Vancouver Whitecaps. They've only had 17 goals on the year, which is still the least in the league. The only team with less is Austin FC, who we play next. So if these next 2 matches the Galaxy can contain Christian Benteke, and then on the Austin FC side we'll go over that next podcast, but if we can have a defensive performance against DC United and contain Christian Benteke, look, I'm worried because I feel like Maya Yoshida is very airily incapable, and seeing him line up against Christian Benteke for a header, I don't like it. I don't like it, man. I really don't like the sound of that, because Maya Yoshida's defensive headers are awful. They're just awful, and I feel like he gets up for it more. Emiro Garces doesn't usually have those aerial attempts like Maya Yoshida. It feels like when we're getting burnt, it's always on Yoshida's side. And if DC United are game planning, I'd definitely, they're just a cross and pray team. They're like the 2019 LA Galaxy, so I think defensively, and then you just keep up Joseph Paintsil's performance. You just got to keep building his confidence. He has to play with the same amount of confidence. Bring his mom to the game, do what you need to do everything you need to do to make sure that our designated players are playing like they're being paid to do. And if that is the case, I think the Galaxy will be able to beat DC United in this match. This is a winnable game. You're all right, and they won the first 4 of 9 MLS Cups and haven't seen a final in 29 or 21 years. This is, what's funny? DC United are how like people think the Galaxy are. DC, like what DC United are is basically what people thought that the LA Galaxy had been, like what LAFC fans think the Galaxy had been when we won MLS Cup last year. Um, the fact that they haven't won an MLS Cup or seen a final in 21 years is crazy to me. Their fall off has been insane to watch, but I think Christian Benteke is able to have an individual masterclass. And we seem to not do well against teams with a big aerial threat. So it could just be a Benteke hat trick game. And we walk out with 0 points, which would suck, but it could just be one of those individual masterclass games. DC all around isn't a good team, but if they're just crossing and praying, maybe they have the tools to just put on a clinic. But that being said, I do believe that we have the better team all around. But score predictions, Mr. LA Galaxy memes.
I'll go with a 2-1 win Galaxy. Hopefully, it doesn't come and bite me in the ass.
We're gonna lose. We're gonna lose. Oh, what did we talk about, memes? What did we talk about?
I think we get our first back-to-back wins this season. I truly do think so. That Vancouver game got me hyped up.
All right. It got you feeling confident in the Galaxy. Yeah, 7-1, 7-1 and 5-1 in the chat. Feels like everyone is feeling very confident on the Galaxy right now. Okay. Who are your goal scorers?
I'm going to go with Nascimento and Peck this time around.
Okay. I think the Galaxy win. You know what? I'm going to double down. I'm going to put all hands on deck. If you're going with the Galaxy win, I'm gonna, the Talkin Galaxy crew, we're gonna properly curse this match. So when we end up losing, you come back to this clip right now. The Galaxy will win 3-1 in this match. I think this will be, I think it'll be light. I think it'll be light in terms of, I think we go up 2-0 early on and we start rotating maybe around the 60th minute ahead of Austin FC. And maybe DC pull one back, but I don't think that they will really stand a chance quality-wise in this game. But if Benteke does Benteke things if Benteke does Benteke things, I think this match may be a loss. But right now I'm going to have to go with the 3-1 Galaxy win. My goal scorers will be Nascimento times 2 and Joseph Paintsil. And Joseph Paintsil, I think we'll get another one to continue his hot streak. So excited to see this match. Will you be at this game?
I will not be at this game.
Okay, I will be at this game. Unless there's another walkout, then I will. I don't even know. Somebody let me know in advance if there's a walkout, so I don't go to this game.
I think some people in the chat are more hype if we get a loss for the jack off cam.
I mean, that's something. I mean, it's an idea. It's an idea for sure. We got Stefan in the chat, the 069. We got 11-0 Galaxy, 7-1 Galaxy, 5-1 Galaxy, 4-0 Galaxy, 3-1 at least. So very confident you lads are, which means that we're gonna lose, and it's gonna be your guys' fault, not mine. Oh, okay. Before we get out of here, we will take a couple questions in the chat, whether it's about our star boy, Ricky Pooge, whether it is about the DC United match, AEG, the protest around Diogo Jota, Leonardo, anything you have let's hear it right now before we get out of here. If we win this match, Mr. Galaxy Memes, we will not be last.
For the first time ever this
In the
season.
league, we will not be last. As long as Montreal lose. As long as Montreal lose or draw, we will not be last, which means they're probably gonna throw. How many goals?
Go.
How many goals and assists will Ricky put up when he returns?
I say at least he gets 1 goal, maybe 2, 3 assists.
Yeah, I'll say 1 goal, 2 assists. That was the number that came into my head. Should Galaxy start paying refs at a chance at the playoffs?
Question.
What?
Never mind. Go for it.
The team across in Los Angeles seems to be doing that for penalties. So maybe we should do that. We did get a penalty last match. That was very well warranted. Absolutely a penalty. I don't even know what the argument was really for that not to be.
I think it was like offside or something. I don't know.
Come on, get serious. Any surprise goal like a Novak Mitrovic header? Just
maybe. You know who I haven't seen score in a fat minute? I mean, he's the defender, but maybe Garces gets a goal from a set piece. Mm-hmm. Highly unlikely, but you never know.
Let's see. I think if I had to pick a weird goal scoring prediction for this match, if I have to take out the rifle and snipe this one, Julian Ade. I think Julian.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
I think he will potentially be able to get forward and make an impact in this game. So we will see. Miki Amane almost had a goal in the last match. Though.
Yeah,
it led to the Maya Yoshida penalty. It came off of the post. Great Takayoka save. So yeah, I'm gonna say Julian Ade, but Miki Amane maybe one of the fullbacks.
Question for me: how big is Tab? Honestly, I don't know. I never met anybody from the podcast like in IRL. Yeah, I don't know. Like 5'7", maybe. I don't know, 5'6". I'm guessing. Not 100% sure.
Oh, height. Yeah, he's like 5'6", I think.
Yeah, I'm assuming. I don't know. I've never met him. So
he's a short king. We love our short kings. So let's see. Anything else? Yeah, I think what I was thinking Ant kind of was talking about there. Oh, by the way, I have ticket giveaways before every match, including this one. We will have ticket giveaways. So if you're looking to get in this match for free, you will have a chance at that if you keep up with LA Galaxy _buzz, shameless plug on Instagram. Yeah, Sean is taller than Tab. Sean's tall. Sean's I expect Sean to be that tall, honestly. All right. Where can they find you, Galaxy Memes?
You can find me at LA Galaxy Memes on Instagram, or also Talkin Galaxy IG as well.
Are you running that now?
I mean, I posted something on the story today. Who knows if I'll continue, but I'm probably gonna put more effort onto it so we can roll out some decent content.
I think Sean's almost 18. I wouldn't say he's like your age. Memes.
Yeah, he's like 17, so I think something like that.
Yeah. Follow Talkin Galaxy on Instagram. As for myself, I am LA Galaxy _buzz. Or Clash Trends on TikTok. That name changes every couple of weeks. Thank you guys for tuning in, game in, game out, week in, week out. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate the support every podcast that you guys tune in. We will have a live watch along for the El Trafico. I will be there on the live.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that will be a good one. Make sure you stay tuned for that. And podcast regularly scheduled next week, Tuesday at 8. Thank you guys for joining. And yeah, I will see you guys. Oh, also I will be on Lacuna Galaxia on Thursday. So I will see you guys. Make sure to tune into that as well. Peace out, guys.